Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ad Age Publishers Panel. Publishers panels are where we provide you perspective and thought leadership on a critical topic facing the industry as a whole. I'm Heidi Waldesky. I'm the Associate Publisher for Ad Age, and today we're going to discuss how Kroger leverages always-on analytics for real-time marketing decisions. After all, even the largest supermarket chain in the U.S. has had to adjust to business disruptions and think fast on its feet, particularly in the aftermath of a global pandemic, as we all know. So to improve its marketing decision-making in real time, Kroger partnered with Analytic Partners, the leading global analytics solutions company, to implement AP's always-on commercial mix analytics program. Joining me for today's conversation to discuss how always-on analytics helps the supermarket track performance, shaping quicker decisioning, and inspiring a test and learn culture for the organization is Sarah Landsman, the VP of Marketing Analytics for Kroger, and Mike Menkes, the SVP for Analytic Partners. Sarah and Mike, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
So great to see you guys, and welcome again. So before I jump into those of you watching live, please feel free to comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you think about today's conversation. We always love to hear from you. So let's get this rolling. So Sarah, everybody knows that Kroger is the #1 supermarket chain in the U.S. If you don't, what have you been doing? Because Kroger is amazing. And most people have been focused on lessons to be learned dealing with disruptions from the past 12 months. But Kroger was already dealing with disruptions from the likes of the Amazons and Walmarts of the world. Tell us a little bit about how the COVID-19 pandemic has only added to debt challenges and what the last 12 months have looked like for you.
Sure. All right. So we're going to go back 24 months. Marketing at Kroger was pretty early on a journey to say, how do we modernize how we go about marketing Kroger? As you mentioned, we are the country's largest grocery chain. We're also one of the most established, oldest grocery chains. We wanted to be able to really propel how we modernize all of our marketing, and that included lots of different things. We went from doing all of our creative in-house at Kroger to working closely with DDB as our agency of record. We went from having almost all of our media in-house to also having media with our new media partner, Dentsu. We went from having e-com as a relatively small part of our business, to where we are today, which is a much more meaningful part of our business and certainly meaningful in terms of how customers shop and engage with us. And then marketing analytics, in terms of modernizing how we do marketing, was heavily dependent upon our analytics. At the time, we had a market mix model that was very analytical, but not very actionable. We went from MMM that was delayed by over 6 to 8 months, often 8 months. It was fragmented. It didn't break down any of the internal silos that we had, for example, between people working on brand creative and then people buying media. It also lacked insight. So it was analytically precise, but didn't really have the practitioner's viewpoint on it to help us figure out what to do with it. It lacked confidence by everyone in the organization, and therefore it just wasn't being used. So in this journey to modernize our marketing, we had to figure out how to bring more real-time insights as a collective team to drive more decisions. Then take the past 12 months, and everything I just said that was true 18, 24 months ago was especially true the past 10 to 11 months.
Got it. So you guys were kind of already well on your way, thankfully, before the pandemic is coming up. So you're already laying the foundation of how to evolve your marketing model and really get those insights in and establish that framework to do it better. So you must have been pretty thankful you had this in place at the beginning.
We were very grateful for that. Yes, continue to be grateful.
Right. So Mike, so tell me then, so tell us a little bit about Analytic Partners and just how you were uniquely positioned to help Kroger, hearing everything that Sarah's talking about, where they were at as obviously a legacy brand, obviously as the largest supermarket chain in the US. Tell me how Analytic Partners is positioned to help specifically Kroger do all of this.
Yeah, sure. So Analytic Partners, we're an independent industry-leading analytics solution provider. Many folks probably are familiar with us, but we essentially use data and analytics to help our clients identify growth opportunities. We're global. We've been doing this for 20 years at this point, working with many of the industry's leading brands. And so when we started working with Kroger, we understood a lot of the challenges they had experienced to date with the slow results, the lack of actionability, which we're big on making sure that all the work that we do with our clients drives action. So we started off with doing variations of stakeholder interviews with senior management to make sure that we understand what the business needs are and why and how, leveraged cross-functional teams to be able to step the analytic game up. And so that included collecting even more granular data, which we'll talk a little bit more about as well, going well beyond marketing as well. So the best way to help understand how to drive growth for many of our clients is through not only marketing, but beyond marketing as well. And so using our technology to be able to help improve speed to insight, which I know we'll talk a little bit more about. But yeah, that's where it started, and it's certainly built from there. And I know Sarah can certainly expand on that.
Got it. So Sarah, yeah, I want to go back to you because you're talking about the MM. So let's talk about the difference between like this marketing mix model. And Mike, I want to get your opinion as well, obviously. So tell us about the difference that's making for you, this kind of move from a marketing mix model to a commercial mix model.
Yeah, so there are a couple of differences. One is the speed to insight. So I mentioned we were about 8 months delayed previously. Right now, we're about 6 weeks delayed. The second difference is the granularity of insight. So I mentioned earlier that Kroger, like many people, like many companies, have really accelerated their digital and e-com growth over the past year. These live models allow us to get to the level of granularity where we can understand the differences between driving trips and sales to a brick and mortar store versus trips and sales to e-com. And increasingly, that's going to be an important part of our suite of insights as we think about continuing to optimize marketing. So speed, granularity. I would also with granularity, like cross-functional relevance. So we're able to get creative insights to understand the different impact of changes in campaign that the brand team can then take and activate on. We're able to get specific media insights based on channel and based on target audiences that different teams are able to take an action against. So I feel like the model has really helped us break down some of our own internal barriers around silos because of how broad, but also deep the insights are. The granularity has been really critical for us. The other part that I would add on, and I think this has been really critical, is it comes with the expertise of marketing practitioners. It's not just the analytics. It is the analytics, but it's also the marketing perspective, bringing perspective on what's working and what's not, and how Kroger's performance is doing relative to the industry, on top of the speed and the granularity of insights, I think have been really big enablers for us.
That's really interesting. And Mike, what about you? It's kind of all fair. So, we've got speed, we've got granularity. What else do you think is so beneficial about moving to this kind of mix? And I also love, and I want to talk about it because it seems like the best insights are the ones that cross-functional teams can activate on, right? Like it's not just, the marketing team knows something about X, Y, and Z. It's no, like every team can pile into this insight and do something with it, which seems really exciting. Mike, do you kind of want to add? I got excited there for a second, but I want you to go back to again, the power of this, but the power of this mix.
I just got excited about that too, Heidi. Can I? Because I mentioned earlier that it's not just the insights we're getting from this tool, but the partnership with analytic partners is now the anchor of an expanded learning ecosystem that Kroger is on. And I keep thinking about it in terms of how do we go from I think, which is individual people in the organization having a thought about what's working and what's not, to we know.
Right.
And it's really this partnership with Analytic Partner where we've been able to progress on that journey to get to we know. It's been so powerful. Sorry, I got excited.
Okay. I know, I got excited. Okay, Mike, now you go.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, I'm glad she mentioned that. I think a big part of it is comprehensive in what we're doing. So, and we actually refer to it as commercial mix modeling. So fundamentally different from marketing mix modeling. Commercial mix modeling is multi-level, multi-dimensional. It provides more granularity, as Sarah mentioned. It's more holistic, more adaptive, and that really allows us to get to faster speed to insight. So it's kind of different from the traditional top-down and bottoms-up type analytics because of that comprehensive nature. And so we use things like augmented analytics through GBS Enterprise, our technology. But also the ROI genome is something that Sarah kind of alluded to, is that kind of expertise that we have from a marketing practitioner standpoint. So the ROI genome is our collective intelligence of understanding how marketing performance works, within and beyond marketing, but being able to provide principles and best practices of what we've seen for other clients and suggestions to test and learn for the Kroger business as well. So just a pretty high level overview of what commercial mix modeling is. Coming back to that question.
It seems very powerful. If you're just joining us, I'm Heidi Waldesky. I'm the associate publisher for Ad Age, and you're catching us for a conversation about how Kroger leverages always-on analytics for real-time marketing decisions. Today with me, we've got the VP of Marketing Analytics for Kroger, Sarah Landsman, and the SVP at Analytic Partners, Mike Menkes. So hi again, guys. We're just saying hello to any new folks who may have joined us. There's some great conversation going on in the audience, it looks like, which is fantastic. So Mike, you just said test and learn, which I want to go back to Sarah, because what's really happening, and I think, we talk about this a lot, it's more than just insights. You're really creating a culture around your data and around your insights. And a huge part of that is test and learn, right? We've talked about the cliche of like analysis paralysis, and sometimes it just seems like, okay, we're going to set this thing, we're going to get a bunch of data, and then we're going to do stuff with it. But it really is more about embracing that and creating, well, let's test, let's learn, let's see what we can do. Can you talk a little bit about how Kroger has moved to that kind of culture and what that's doing for you, Sarah?
Sure. I mentioned earlier the thing that I got excited about was this whole learning mentality of going from I think to we know as a collective marketing team. And I really think the work on the commercial model has really helped exercise that muscle to where we can do that even more and kind of supplement with other insights to be able to do that more broadly. I wouldn't have been able to say that we knew how to do that or operate that way as a team prior to this partnership. And I'll give an example. I mean, throughout COVID, we relied a lot on social sentiment, looking at social sentiment probably all day, every day, to understand how customers were talking about us, even when they weren't talking to us. Having the muscle to be able to react quickly to those insights, we built that muscle because of this model. And we continue to build that muscle by the introduction of other tools, of which there are many, but this really is the anchor for those. I think the other thing I would say is there's a strong rigor around learning objectives each time we go into a live model. So understanding collaboratively, what are the things we want to learn going into each model based on what we've changed. So if we're launching a new marketing channel, a podcast, or if we're targeting a certain group disproportionately more than we used to, we have the rigor to articulate those objectives and then report against them in each live model. So
right.
And all it's like the anchor of this kind of learning mindset that we continue to build upon.
Right. Well, it's letting you hypothesize a lot too, right? Because then you can play around with data. So Mike, I'm hearing all of this and I'm like, why would anyone not do this, right? Like, it just seems like an amazing choice to make. So let's talk about the challenges, right? So what are some of the challenges about moving from maybe a marketing mix model to a commercial marketing mix? And especially as when you're looking at, I mean, Kroger's huge, right? I mean, we're talking about a massive enterprise. What are some of the challenges that go along with that?
Yeah, so with commercial mix analytics, it's really about, especially with live modeling, it's an investment. I think that's a fair point, but it also is a way of doing business. And so that's essentially what I think you're hearing from Sarah and myself, is a lot of what we're doing is ongoing planning and supporting of the business. So there is an investment from both the brand side as well as analytic partners. But what comes with that is a very rigorous process to help make decisioning and how to test and learn into new executions, new offerings, because everything's constantly changing. And that was true before COVID, but obviously, particularly so during COVID, and the way that online and offline behaviors have changed, human mobility has evolved. But even after, whenever this new sense of normal kind of stabilizes, there's still constant change in terms of new offerings, in terms new ways to reach consumers, new route to market. So this fundamental anchor, as Sarah mentioned, really allows us to have a point of reference as a holistic understanding of performance. And then we can deep dive into different areas. So part of the program that we built with Kroger is a process where we're checking in with senior management on a regular basis. Generally speaking, it's about once a month. We're reporting out the latest learnings. We're talking about a learning agenda. So we have a learning agenda for the year. What are the things we want to learn? What are the executions that we're planning for different parts of the year, where we're testing our way into higher spend levels or new emerging media and those sorts of things. So that rigorous approach to, we've got an agenda that we want to learn from this year. Let's use the live modeling program and commercial mix to be able to help us understand what's working and what's not. And also just not high level overview, but how it's affecting different KPIs. How is it affecting our basket size in store and online, traffic versus sales? And we're talking about getting into elements of different types of customer segments and different portions of the business as well.
Got it. That's great. Just a couple moments for shout outs. We've got a lot of people really enjoying this conversation. So hi to Steve from California, Paul from New Zealand, Anna from Poland, Jake from New Jersey, Tracy from Atlanta, Hayden from Seattle. Hi, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. So, Mike, I want to go back to a point you were saying, because I think this is really important. And Sarah, I'd love to hear your opinion, because you're not just handing over the keys to a really amazing tool, right? This is a partnership. It's not like, here's the keys to a new car, have fun driving at Kroger, let us know if you have any problems, bring it back into the shop for a couple of tune-ups, right? You are really partnering, working together to help establish KPIs, what you can do, benchmarks, how teams should operate. Can you, Sarah, give me some insight into, like, when you're evaluating for partners like this, like, what are the things that we should be looking for? Or what are the things that have been so beneficial to you just in terms of the partnership you're able to develop?
When we went through our RFP process to get to analytic partners, we had really clear success criteria defined, and they were much of what we talked earlier, like the granularity of insights, the breadth of insights, and I would say very importantly, the actionability of the insights, because that's been the critical piece that's been missing in the past. And through the partnership, we've been able to, I mentioned earlier, break down, I almost made it.
He's got a lot of
been able to break down silos within the marketing team. It's also starting to across the business. I'm going to pause for a minute. Mike, you take it over.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that, as Sarah was mentioning, we've expanded the relationship into different parts of the organization. So we started there as well. I think fundamentally it's important to get buy-in from, finance and a variety of different functions to make sure that we're all aligned. And so we're deep diving into different areas with different audiences to give them confidence in what we're doing and provide insights for those divisions as well. We're talking about loyalty and CRM and those dynamics, in addition to kind of mass market and emerging forms of media. So a big part of what we've been doing there. And then also equipping the teams with the technology to run simulations on the fly. So we're, of course, the way we structure it is, we're available to help support, on an ongoing basis, but we also have tools and technology for Kroger to go in and run simulations. What What if I were to increase or decrease funds? What if there was a budget cut, and where's the best place to pull from? All of a sudden the rates are changing for certain activities, and being able to run those sorts of simulations on the fly to be able to help make some of those key business decisions, and knowing that the results are holistic and recent as well. So it really gives us our best foot forward to be able to help with those key business questions.
Yeah, so that's really important. Like, Sarah, please welcome back. Tell us, please add on to that.
My husband saved me and took the dog, so I'll thank him for that later. The thing that's really been wonderful for us is being able to prove the impact of when we make the optimizations recommended from the tool. So we've seen over the past year significant increases in marketing efficiency and responsiveness to all of our media, and marketing, even beyond paid media, because we've been able to demonstrate the financial impact of that, and we've been able to more substantively prove to Kroger the role that marketing plays in contributing to trips and contributing to e-com trips and in contributing to sales. It's really bringing marketing to the table in some of these broader business questions. So now as I look to the next year, I want to be able to continue to build on that momentum, both based on business impact, but I would say like company and cultural impact, where marketing has more of a seat at the table because now they're armed with the data, not just for marketing, but for other levers in the business to continue to use that as a driver.
I think that is such an important point, right? Because normally, obviously now it has shifted incredibly, but whereas, business decisions are being made and then it's marketing's job to build awareness to support those existing business decisions. Now you're armed with more data and tools to actually inform, how the business decisions are being made. That's a really exciting development for you guys, and I'm sure something you've just been thrilled about seeing come to life over the past year. How exciting. Okay, so I believe our time together is just about wrapping, but I do want to kind of end, Sarah, with you, and then and Mike a little bit with you. Like, what's in store for 2021? Like, Sarah, this is such an amazing position you find yourselves in. What are you most excited about in the coming year?
I'm going to say three things. Continuing to demonstrate the increased impact of marketing effectiveness through this model. 2, expanding that learning outside of just marketing. So doing what we've done, I think, really well in marketing, but doing it across more areas of the business, pricing and promotion, et cetera. And then 3, using the learning to apply to other areas where marketing happens within Kroger. So sort of our sub-brands, other areas, like we're getting ready to roll out vaccines. How do we leverage this tool and the partnership to be able to do just like what we did with Kroger as a whole, leverage the insights and have more impactful marketing, especially for something as important as vaccines.
That's fantastic. Last word for you.
I would completely echo what Sarah just said. I thought that was a great summary. From our lens, it's been such a great story working with Kroger. We're excited to build from it and get into a lot of those different areas where there's real opportunity to drive value and growth, and do it in real time. I think that's one of the things we're really excited about. I think a lot of times analytics is viewed as kind of slow and not as speedy as it can be, and it actually is in many cases. And love this story because it talks about that speed to insight, and I love how we're getting into those new areas and expanding across the overall organization to be able to have some of those big impacts. I love the vaccine idea. Fantastic.
I know, really, really looking forward to that. Well, Mike, Sarah, thank you both for this amazing conversation. That was absolutely fascinating. I hope we get to speak with you again soon. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in for this Publishers Panel. And thank you again so much. And everyone, have a great day.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.